so my idea of doing the knife switch for both the traditional 15 amp and the 30 amp just isn't practical. Tell me why that doesn't work.
Okay, so in order to make it work, first of all, I'd need to have a 3-pole switch,
Which I didn't do.
which we have 2 poles here.
Uh-huh.
So that's enough for the compressor circuit, but nothing else.
So instead of us violating UL code and cutting the end off of the air dryer, we're gonna put a normal outlet in there, which will also make it a little more serviceable for me too. So maybe I should put valves in my line as well. So what we have is a 30 amp, 240 30 amp, right?
Yep.
And then we also have a dedicated 20 amp, which we don't need, but we have here for the air dryer. So what he's going to do is take our wires. I should have wired for an outlet. But we're going to take our wires and put an outlet underneath the dryer so that we have that set up.
So we use a cut-in box.
Yeah.
Up north, I think they call them old work boxes. Cut-in box, old work box, whatever. Use a metal one because we're going to use a metal jacketed cable.
If I was smarter, I would have had us put an outlet in here to begin with. But actually the compressor, it turned out, because I was planning on doing cabinets over here, and so now that I'm going to be doing cabinets from left to right, I wanted to move the compressor over to the left, so that's why it got a little funky looking. But yeah, this is going to work out great. Sweet. Off to a good start. Got it. All this wall touching I'm going to have to do from Phil jacking up all my paint.
Where?
No, saying all over this place from us, doing the lighting and all that crap. See, look at that. The whole freaking wall moves, man. It's junk. I should have done wood. I hate metal studs. You can't do anything with them. You can't mount anything to them. So we got our new outlet in, right? And then
Remake these places in this box and then put the disconnect back on.
and then we can start wiring our compressor. All right, so it's got the box back on, nice and clean. Our outlet now down below the unit, strategically placed. So what is this stuff?
This is called Greenfield, but the code is flexible metal conduit.
Yeah, so it's just fatter MC designed to run. So what is it, 10 gauge?
Well, there's nothing inside,
Oh,
so we add the wires inside of it.
okay.
So you could put like 2 number 8s and a number 10, 3 number 8s and a number 10.
What's the other option? Isn't there like some like flexible, like kind of plastic? Is there a plastic version of this stuff?
Yeah, there's a couple different kinds. There's liquid tight non-metallic conduit. Obviously, it's just plastic.
Yeah.
No metal inside. And then there's liquid tight metal conduit, liquid tight flexible metal conduit. That's like this, just with a plastic outer jacket.
Yeah.
But that's more for wet locations.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we're gonna snake this around, see what looks pretty. Alright, so there's our MC connection. Yeah, so we're gonna bring the line, decided to bring the line behind our air rev around the back. And then I'm going to bring it up and tack it. Now you're speaking my language, nice and clean. Remember, there's plywood behind there.
Yeah, I bought these, but I didn't know you had the plywood.
Yeah. Alright, so now he has to run the, yeah, that looks great. Dang, this is going to be a lot easier project than I thought it was going to be today.
Not too shabby.
I guess I better not count my chickens. You flip the switch and the building explodes. And then I get to hear how loud this thing is, and it's going to disappoint me. Yeah, but having an 80-gallon tank, I said this before, what I'll probably do, if it runs too often, I'll just put a big old receiver tank right next to it. That's why I'm going to reserve this spot over here to the left. So on the left of the pillar here, in case I find myself starving for air. I think I'm going to be fine with 80-gallon tank, but I could put another 120-gallon tank next to it if I needed to. So I may leave that when I do the pallet racking. I may leave some room for that. Anything special we need to know about this?
It starts and stops the motor, obviously, contactor. It's controlled by a pressure switch usually. Yep, the pressure switch here controls it on and off. And if the motor pulls too much current, it has an overload here that could trip. Just want to make sure they usually come set correctly from the factory, but you can adjust this dial here to match the full load amp rating of the motor. So as long as those are matched, then it shouldn't trip, but that's there to protect the motor from burning up.
And then this for us, that'll either if the knife switch is on, it'll run until the pressure switch turns it off, right?
Yep.
There's no on or off, right? So it'll run until the tank's full with 175 psi, and then, or we can just kill the knife switch for the times we're not using it.
Yep.
So what were you saying again? Where does it go?
So according to the diagram this ships with, we land our incoming conductors on out line 1 and line 2. So that's
Does it
what
matter
I'm doing.
which one's which?
It doesn't for this, a single phase motor. It's going to turn in the direction that it's designed to turn.
How do you know it's single phase? Is there a dead giveaway on what it looks like?
Just reading the nameplate on the motor.
Oh, okay.
Told me that. I mean, this is a 3-pole switch, so it could be used for a 3-phase motor if that's what you had.
Yeah, because they do offer this in both, options.
Yep. They do this a lot, which is curious, but I understand it. So it's this is set up for single phase, which means you have 2 wires in and then 2 wires out to the motor, but you're using a 3-pole contactor. And so that you're not leaving any poles without voltage. You can see we're going to have our feed will come through the contactor, through the other side, and then they have this conductor. And all it does is loop around back to the third contact on the coil, and then come back out and go to the motor. And that's just so you don't have any points on the contactor that don't have voltage.
Is it for like electronic wear or? Yeah.
I think it's just for safety.
Yeah.
There's probably some other reason that I don't know, but I think it's just for safety. So that like if the technician's in here troubleshooting, he doesn't think that there's no voltage because he read a spot that maybe
Right.
simple contactor, oh, I'm not reading voltage, okay, now it's safe for me to work on.
That makes sense, yeah. I'm sure someone will let us know in the comments.
Yep. I've seen that a few times with three-pole equipment being used for 2 poles. It's commonly done.
And then it just simply grounds to the chassis there.
Yeah, see, they didn't give me a spot to land my ground. So I think what I'm going to do is cut their ground and just splice mine in.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to do that. go. Okay, gotta go get some fuses and then be able to start it up.
So here's what we have.
That'll do it.
All right, moment of truth. Oh shoot, that's actually pretty quiet.
Yeah, not bad. The advantage of this is that it's it's operating at like 650 RPM, 700 RPM, where a normal compressor would be 3,000. Wow.
It's actually a lot quieter than I thought it was going to be. You know, with an 80-gallon tank, it's not going to run all that much. So that's a long time coming to get this compressor. Now all I got to do is I got to run the AN lines and Prevost tomorrow. So we're going to start working on it this week. Bill, as always, you always make it look easy. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.